Hello, it's just Kevin here, and welcome back to MotoGP 17. And today we're going to be doing a different type of video today. It's going to be another random video. And this is a video that I really wanted to do on MotoGP 17. I've been saying it for at least over a week now. And that is about my own setup for races. Basically, I know that I've done a video of doing the bike setup and the rider setup. But basically, I haven't done a video where I talk about what my setup is for MotoGP games, basically. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I might do one of these videos for MotoGP 18 as well, but that won't be just yet because I'm doing it now for MotoGP 17. So yeah, so in this video we're going to be go and look at my own setup for MotoGP. So basically the setup that I use, that I've been using for every single MotoGP thing that I've been doing. And also the ones I'll be doing in the future on MotoGP. Well, technically just all the setup when I first started on this game. That's what I will be doing for today. So I'm going to be using my Yamaha, just because that's the main bike. I'm going to be using my own rider on my own Yamaha bike. The reason why is because that's actually the main bike I've been kind of using a lot for setup videos and stuff. So I'm going to be using that bike. And by the way, we're not going to be going into a race. We might do a little bit of the race, but it'll be fine because I put time attack mode on first, and just because I might do a little bit of the time attack in between the video as well, and kind of just show you what the setup is going to be when I move about and stuff. But that'll be fine. But anyway, right then, let's go and get into it. And while this is loading up, I'll kind of explain about it. So basically, there is a little bit of setup that I do, but there's not a lot, by the way, there. So one thing that I don't do, by the way, is I don't change the gears, because I do leave the gears as they are, so that's going to be absolutely fine. There is kind of a few things that I do change, which I'll kind of just let you know when we do get into the race. But to be honest with you, my setup is quite easy. Like, I've got like one of the easiest setups in the world. Well, technically probably one of the most easiest ones that probably everyone's been on so far. Like, it's just pretty much like one of the easiest setups I've probably ever had so far, so that's going to be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so basically this is how I kind of set up the bike. I'll show you guys my first setup. So my first one is I always put the brakes on disc 1, and the reason why for that is because on disc 2 I've been struggling on the brakes. So every single time if I'm going into a corner, I always go a little bit wide on disc 2. So I always put them on disc 1. Just because that's a little bit easy, so that's what I kind of use. So I go to manual settings and I go onto brakes, and you can see at the moment that they're on disc 1. So if I change these to disc 2, I change these to disc 1. But basically they'll be a lot more smoother to go around corners, because I do prefer disc 1. The reason why I do is because it's a lot more better, because when I was on disc 2, I kind of just went really wide all the time, and I wasn't very good at braking markers. And now, on disc 1, it's just so much better, so I will be keeping it up on disc 1, just because that's kind of the aim of what my setup normally is, because that's what I'm kind of aimed for at the moment. So I've always been on disc 1, because that's kind of been my style of MotoGP, so I've always been on that one. So yeah, that's my brakes. So leave any comments below if you guys play on disc 1 or disc 2 brakes or anything. There's probably a lot of people that do play on disc 2, but I play on disc 1 just because it's a lot more better for me. But there's a lot of people out there that do prefer disc 2, but in my opinion it's disc 1. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you are. So that's that one, and the next one is the tyres. Now basically, I know that you can pick any tyres, but you can see, by the way, that we've got wet tyres on, and the reason why is because, yeah, it's wet. So basically, when you're in the dry, you can switch between soft, medium, and hard. And at the moment, though, I always go for soft tyres. Every time when it's dry, I've always gone for soft, and the reason why is because there's a lot of MotoGP riders out there that go for soft anyway. So I always go for soft on the races. If it's an overcast race, I do sometimes go for medium, or something like that. When it's really dull, I might possibly go for hard. I've kind of been on medium a little bit. I think I've only had hard once, and I think that was on a front tyre. So yeah, but at the moment though, I know that soft is kind of the main thing, just because I've always used soft in MotoGP. I just don't know why I have. I've just kind of just used it because it's just my favourite style. But like I said, when it's wet, by the way, you have to have wet tyres on, just because when you're on soft tyres in the wet, you just like crush. So like wet is like the main thing in the in the game. So yeah, that's the times. And please let me know in the comments of what times you use for races, and that'll be really appreciated. And everything else, by the way, I don't really change as much, just because I'm not really bothered. Suspension, I don't really bother with that. What I'll do, by the way, is I'll kind of show you all the of all the setup, and then, like I said, we'll end the video here, and then we'll go straight out for a bit, and then I'll kind of show you what the setup's going to be. So this is the suspension. So I don't really change this. So I've kind of left that as it is. I've kind of left that as. Actually, no, I'm going to put that. No, let me put that like that. Yeah, that'll be better. So yeah, so I'll put one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And the reason I've actually not changed this is because I'm not really bothered, to be honest. Because otherwise, if I put it a little bit further up, I'm not going to be good in races. So I've kind of left that as it is, just because I'm not really bothered about it. Like to be honest, I'm really good on damp when it's like raining and stuff. I'm good on the sniffness where I go into corners and stuff. And I'm good at preload, so I'm good at that position. But like, to be honest with you, I don't really need to change any of this because I'm just like on the back foot at the moment of everything. So I kind of don't use any of that. But yeah, let me know if you do change any suspensions. The handlebars, I don't really change this either. I just kind of just leave that as it is because I'm really good at the handlebars at the moment. Because basically when I go into like corners and stuff, I'm always very good on them. Just because when I've got my hands on them, I can be able to like turn the bike a lot more better and stuff. So I kind of just left that half and half. Just because basically when I'm going into a corner, I'm always very good at going corner speed and stuff. So that's kind of like one thing that you can do, by the way, but I'm just not really good on it. Just because I'm pretty much the sort of guy that just wants to leave it as. So that's that one. Gears, I don't really change the gears. I kind of just leave them half by half. Yeah, I just leave the gears as they are. So the gears are just on 0.5%. Just because if I did put the gears up, I would have probably been struggling. So that's why I've kind of left them half by half. Just because at the moment I've always been good on the gears, like into 6th gear, going into 5th gear, and then into 4th gear. It's always been absolutely brilliant, like because I've always been into really good gear situations. And like I said before, though, my gears have been pretty good as well when I've been going into corners and stuff. That's been absolutely brilliant as well. And then the final one is data, and I don't really bother about data either. I'm actually not sure what data's supposed to be. Apparently, you can actually put your bike setups in empty slots apparently, and I don't really bother about this for some reason. I literally just don't know why I don't bother about it, but I just don't really bother with this. There is kind of a few empty ones you can go for, but I'm not really bothered about it, just because if I'm like saving my setup, I don't think there's really no point of actually saving it, like saving the setup up. So like to be honest with you, I don't like really bother, because apparently it says you can actually save your settings, but I don't really bother about it anyway. But yeah, it's just called data management, where you can actually just save it all up and stuff. But yeah, I literally just don't really bother about it. But yeah, that is absolutely fine. But yeah, that's kind of the way how the setup works. And what you can do, by the way, is if you press the Y button, it'll actually default it. So basically, when you reset it, it'll go straight back to default, which I don't want to do, by the way, because otherwise I'll end up messing all it up. So I'm not going to bother doing that. But yeah, that's kind of the way how my setup is for MotoGP. It's pretty easy. The only thing that I do in it is I just change the brakes and the tyres. That's the only thing I do. I do sometimes do the rest of the stuff, but apart from that, though, it's kind of aimed on brakes and tyres. That's kind of the aim of my setup. But apart from that, though, it's completely fine. And basically at some point, you guys, is I will do a full video at some point of kind of showing you around. I know, yeah, by the way, I forgot to show you this, by the way. This is the describe issues. So basically, if you have any issues of going into corners and stuff, how many have we got, by the way? We've got on corners, corner entrance, coming out corners, direct changes, or straights. I've kind of left it on corner entrance, just because that's what I've actually been that's what kind of been struggling with. It's kind of just the corner entrance I've really been struggling at, but I kind of just leave that as is. Motorbike behaving. Seal. I'll just press cancel. And there we go. Okay. Right then, here we are then. So right, that's that sorted. So basically, at some point, you guys, I will do a video of showing you this. I haven't actually done a full video on it yet, so the next video, when you see me on this menu, I will go and show you a full video of it. Just like this full little menu sort of thing. I'll go and do that in a video at some point, but that won't be today. So what I'm going to go and do now is I'm going to go and spend some time on Time Attack for a bit, and I'm going to go and show you guys kind of the way how this setup normally works. It's pretty easy, by the way, though, just because when I'm on brakes and tyres and all that, it's just kind of like really easy to go around. So I'm doing it at Magellan, just because I do love Magellan. So we're doing it. Oh, what's going on? Is it lagging again? It's lagging again. Yeah, that's kind of the way how it works. So yeah, let me go and show you how the setup normally works. Like going into brakes is pretty easy as well. We are actually in the wet conditions, so it will be quite hard. But hopefully my braking markers should be okay. Because one thing I've kind of noticed as well, that every time I've been in the wet, I've always been struggling in the wet conditions, and I literally don't know why I have for some reason, but I've always been struggling in the wet, and that's kind of like not my strongest position at the moment. Like, I'm just not really good on strong condition at the moment. When you kind of think about it, when you're in the wet conditions, that's when you kind of think it's going to get even harder. But at the moment, though, it's not been too bad for me in the game, so I can actually do some very good braking markers, which is pretty nice. But my braking markers are not really that good on grip. So they are pretty much okay on grip, but they're just not as bad. Well, at least I'm good on brakes though, but just not as bad. So, but at least I could do pretty well on it. So you can see how the way I'm going into corners and stuff. Like, I'm really good at braking markers on corners as well. And you can actually see, by the way, that disc 1 is so much better for me because basically it brakes a lot more smoother as well. So I'm just like so much better on disc 1, because if I was actually on disc 2, I would have been going all over the place. I would have been going wide and stuff, and it would have not been that great. So yeah, that's kind of the feeling of it. Yeah, that's kind of been a feeling of it anyway. And you can see how the way how it turns and stuff. It's just brilliant. I'm just like really good on the brakes. Even going into these corners is pretty nice as well. So like going into here, then look at that, I just have a good braking marker and then just go straight down the middle and straight downwards. And that's kind of the way how it works. So there we go, so that's one full lap of showing you guys my setup. And yeah, so it's pretty easy. Like, I don't really like change much of my setup, but like my setup is just completely really easy. Like, if you do prefer it in the dry, it probably will have felt a lot bit better. But like I said before, I've got so much better at doing it in the wet. But I do probably end up struggling a little bit on the wet conditions. But it's not really that bad. But at the moment, though, I've not been really that struggling, to be honest, because when you do end up looking at the setup of what I'm doing at the moment, it's actually not entirely too bad. But like when I'm going on braking markers and stuff like that, it's just really easy to go around corners and stuff, and it's just absolutely really easy peasy, to be honest, to have a good braking marker. It's just absolutely brilliant to be able to have one. I know it's not too bad to have one of the decent braking markers, but when you have a decent one, it'll be pretty much okay to be able to go around the corners that you want to do and going on the brakes a lot more better and stuff. And that's kind of what I've actually been doing at the moment. It's kind of what I've been doing so far, though, especially going onto the brakes. Yeah, going into the back straight has always got to be so much better going through there. But to be honest with you, I've always been really good on braking markers. Like, that's always my best position, just on a big massive braking marker. That's where I've probably always been. And then when we go on the back straight, you can kind of see how I accelerate through the corner. And yeah, that's kind of the way how my braking works. And then if we go into this corner here, you can see kind of the way how I brake. I probably do brake a little bit earlier, but apart from that though, like, the braking situation is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's kind of the way how my setup works for MotoGP. I will, of course, do one of these videos for MotoGP 18 as well. I might kind of just talk a little bit more about it in MotoGP 18, probably a little bit more, just because that the generated on that one is a little bit more better. So I probably might end up doing that though. But yeah, I'll have to go and let you know. But yeah, and that's kind of the way how my setup works for MotoGP at 17. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you have got any more. If you've got any more, if you've got any opinions in the comments of what your setup is for MotoGP, and that'll be really appreciated, because there might be some people out there that got different setups than me, but I've got my own opinion setups and they are pretty easy. But yeah, MotoGP 18 setup is a little bit more different, so I'll kind of let you know what's going to be in that one. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, and please come subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.